One of the things that caught my attention this week in our community, it was that Terry posted up and she said, my biggest struggle is that I eat healthy in the morning and I have all these good intentions. And then by the end of the day, I am totally off track and I'm just eating whatever I want to. And so it is this feeling where we think we're either on track or we're off track. We're all in or we're all out. And it's this thinking, this all or nothing thinking, that can keep so many of us stuck in this really, really frustrating cycle. And so, what I want to do today is unpack what that all means and bring to you some practical tips that actually might help you break free from this cycle and create some type of lasting change so that you're not beating yourself up continually. So I want to start off by talking about understanding this cycle a little bit more. And we're going to start off by talking about this perfection trap. And so this all or nothing thinking, it can get all of us. I mean, I'm putting my hand up. I've been there. I've done that. I've had to dot every I and I've had to cross every T. So if you picture this, Monday morning comes around, that's going to be your starting day. And you think, right, I'm having a green smoothie for breakfast. I'm going to go out for a nice walk. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a strength session. Then I'm going to have a salad for lunch. I'm going to prepare my dinner and have a really great dinner organized. And then I'm not going to snack after dinner. So I've got it all mapped out, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm creating or setting myself up for a situation where I might very well fail because something's going to happen. Life is going to happen. So maybe that gorgeous friend at work decides to bring along homemade brownies, and you think, oh, I love brownies, and they're calling you into the kitchen and you're thinking, yep, I am going to eat one of those things. Where does your head go next? Or maybe what happens is a meeting goes late at work and you think, oh, okay, I'm just going to get some takeout. Oh, okay, I've blown it already. I'm just going to have pizza. And yeah, I think I'll have an ice cream as well too. And so this is not that you have a lack of willpower or that you have a lack of commitment. It is this mindset that we have that sets us up to fail. And so this cost of perfectionism is what I want to talk about next. But before I go down this track, last week I was talking about the motivation myth. And this is something that can hold a lot of us there. And so we think that we have this lack of motivation to get started, and we think that motivation is the starting point. And yet motivation is actually the reward we get after we've taken some level of action. And so I was talking about being a young 16-year-old and learning how to drive a car. And I certainly was never motivated to do 3-point turns, reverse parking, or hill starts. But what I really wanted was the freedom that a driver's license was going to give me. And so I want to talk about a car yet again this week. And here's what I want you to think about. If you took this perfect thought process that we're having into the car and you thought, I'm only going to drive my car when the weather is perfect, when there's no traffic on the road, I've got a full tank of fuel, and it's just going to be wonderful. Okay. You're never going to drive your car, probably, because let's face it, there's always traffic on the road. We've never got enough fuel in our tank. Well, at least I don't anyway. And the weather conditions, well, you never know. They can just change whenever they want to, right? And so we seem to think that we've got to take this approach with life, and yet we don't take it with anything else. We seem to think that we've got to take it with our health and our well-being, and it just holds us in this continual cycle where we just get stuck. Okay. And so we think the first moment that we have a little wobble come in, we go, we start beating ourselves up and we think, oh, geez, you're not good enough. You can't get this done. There is something wrong with you. And so I want you to think about this. How many times have you said, I'll start Monday? Now, you might have gone off track on a Wednesday, but you go, oh, blown it all. Yeah, no, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just do it on Monday. So Monday, the International Day of Starting, right? Okay. And so it just holds us where we are and it just keeps us stuck. So there's got to be a better way. And let's delve into what this better way happens to be. It's this power of being good enough. And I'm going to put my hand up here because as a child, I'm that person who thought my middle name was not good enough. And that even filtered all the way through to my adulthood. And it took a lot of work for me to work out that I didn't have to be perfect. So sometimes these things can be very much ingrained in us, these habits that we have that cause us to want to do everything perfectly. And so I want to talk about Tanya in our community. She was this classic all or nothing person. Okay. If she couldn't get that healthy breakfast done, she'd just skip it entirely. She'd get to lunch and then she would overeat. Or if she couldn't get to her workout session, she just wouldn't do anything at all. And then what happened is something changed for her. So, and she called it this good enough approach. And I quite like this good enough approach. So instead of aiming for a perfect breakfast, she just had boiled eggs. She did this cook up and she put boiled eggs in there. And I really like this because it's protein. And so she made protein one of the first things that she focused on. So it was doable, it was sitting there, it was easy. And when life was happening, when it was too difficult to actually sit down and have that healthy breakfast, she could just eat her eggs. And so the key here isn't that you want to do everything perfectly. The key here is to do something consistently. And so I want to explore with you this 1% better approach. So if instead of us trying to be perfect with everything, we just think about doing something just that little bit better than we did yesterday. So if you think about it in regards to food, if you can't do a full healthy breakfast, maybe you're going to add a piece of fruit to the toast that you're eating. Well, not put it on the toast, but you know what I mean. Eat it as well as the toast. And maybe if you don't have time to do meal prep, you're going to add an extra veggie into the takeaway food. Or if you've had a bicky or two or three, you're just going to go, well, that's okay. I really enjoyed it. But what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to write off the whole day. It was just something that was there and I enjoyed. Or maybe when it comes to exercise, you can't do that full 30-minute workout, but you might be able to get a 5-minute stroll around the outside of the house. Or maybe you can do some stretching while you're sitting in front of the telly. Or maybe you could go for an evening walk after dinner. It's still all moving forward. So the goal isn't that you're trying to be perfect. It's about making small choices that are going to add up over time for you. So let's see how this might practically work for you. This continuum concept, and it's a tool that I really, really like, and I would encourage you to actually give it a go. So I don't want you to think about it's good or it's bad or it's on track or it's off track. What I want you to think about is that you've got this scale and it goes from 0 to 10, right? And so I'm just going to give you some examples and I'm going to start with healthy eating. So if you prepare all your healthy meals from scratch, then that might be the 10 for you. Cooking dinner and having takeout a couple of times a week or having a takeout lunch each day, maybe you're going to give yourself a 7. Maybe adding an extra veggie or two into your takeout meal, you might go, okay, that's a 5. And having smaller portion of dessert, maybe that's a 3. And maybe just reading the menu before you order instead of going for the default pasta or whatever dish it is that you love and crave, maybe that's a 2. And then when it comes to exercise, maybe you might give that 30-minute workout the 10, a 15-minute walk a 7, taking the stairs instead of the elevator might be a 5. Stretching while you're doing or watching TV might be a 3. And putting your exercise clothes on, you might give yourself a 2. Yes, because you did put the clothes on. Okay. And so what happens is any movement along this continuum is progress, right? So it might not be a 10, but it might be 2. So the goal isn't that you're trying to get the 10 all the time. It's about staying in the game, right? Okay. No matter what number you get, you're still in the game. And that's where the power of consistency is going to take over. And that's where the real magic starts to happen because you're not focusing on perfection. You are simply focusing on some small change. And so Lisa actually said something brilliant this week. Okay. She said, I used to beat myself up every time I had a cookie with my lunch or I only did 10 minutes of stretching. But now what she does is she celebrates the salad that she had and she doesn't worry about the cookie. And she celebrates that 10 minutes of movement because she's still doing something. She's still in the game, right? So let's break this down. Every action builds some type of momentum. Each time you show up, even imperfectly, is strengthening this consistency muscle that you have. And these small wins will compound over time. And here's the third step for you. It's the art of celebration. We don't really want to do this. Now, this is going to maybe sound a little bit strange for you because what we're doing is we're celebrating every small win. And it's really, really important because your brain doesn't know the difference between eating one vegetable and eating totally healthy all day long. Okay? It doesn't know the difference. So every time we acknowledge and celebrate, we're reinforcing for ourselves that we did something great. So here's how you're going to make it work. You're going to choose your minimum viable action, something that's so small that it could even feel like it's silly and that you can't say no to it. Then you're going to do them consistently. And every time you do it consistently, you are going to celebrate every single time. You're going to show up for it and you're going to go, woohoo, I've done it. So just like the minimum action might be having one veggie in your next meal. The consistency is that you're going to plan your lunch tomorrow for tomorrow when you're having your dinner. The celebration could be that you're going to take a photo of that and you're going to share it in the community and you're going to go, woohoo, look at me, I did it. Now, when it comes to exercise, maybe that minimum action is putting on your joggers and stepping outside and taking a deep breath. Consistency might be that you're going to do it at the same time each and every day. The celebration is that you're going to give yourself a high five or you're going to track it in the journal. Now, me, I'm a sticker girl. I love putting stickers on my calendar. And if you walk down my hallway, you'll see every month, and so far, what I'm doing is every single day, there's a sticker goes up there for what that minimum thing is that I've done or whatever I've committed to. And so it isn't the size of the action that matters here. It's that you showed up and that you acknowledged it. So each week, what I like to do is finish up with a move moment. Okay. And so what I want you to do is to just think about what's one tiny movement that you can easily complete. And it could just be that maybe you roll your shoulders a few times. Go on, do it if you're sitting here with me. And now what you're going to do is you're going to smile because it was pretty silly for me to sit here and roll my shoulders, right? But what I did was I showed up for myself and I'm going to smile at myself and I'm going to say, I showed up. And then what I might do is I might add one other tiny moment to it. And that might be, I'm going to stretch up over my head and I'm going to stretch my body out again. I'm going to celebrate. So I want you to start thinking about it, particularly if it's healthy eating. What's that one small change that you're going to make in your next meal? Write it down, or maybe you've got to set a reminder in your phone. But what you're going to do is you're going to say to yourself, I'm showing up for my health. Once you've done it, you've got to reinforce it. Okay. You've got to see yourself. You've got to tell yourself that you are following through. And if it feels silly, that's good. Because what you're doing is when we do the silly things and we laugh about them and we joke about them, we're rewiring, particularly when we do it consistently, we're rewiring those old patterns. And we're saying that it's not just big achievements that deserve the celebration, it's the simple things, the little tiny things. And that teaches our brains that showing up matters and it builds that foundation of lasting change. So it's not about the massive overhauls or being on that perfect streak. It's about those small, consistent actions that you take and that you celebrate them along the way. So each time you choose to show up, even in the smallest way, you build confidence in yourself, confidence in your ability, and confidence that you feel a little bit proud of yourself and you think that you are good enough. So this week, I'm going to challenge you. I want you to pick that one tiny action, one for movement though, and one for nutrition. Yeah, it's a bit of an ask, I know, that I'm asking you to really do two things, but I want you to do them daily and I want you to celebrate them every time. And in our community, I want you to hashtag ageless wins because every single win is going to count. Next week, I'm going to be back and I'm going to be talking about redefining our success after 50. So I hope you're going to join me and I hope that you're going to actually take on the challenge this week and that you got something out of today. And please, please, please post below. Let me know what you have taken away, what you're going to be achieving, or what you're going to set yourself. And each time you have that win, please share it with me. Okay, so take care and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.